Welcome to a new episode of The Startup Show. Today we are here at the University of Saint Gallen. It's really exciting to meet with Professor Dr. Dietmar Grichnik, who is the Professor for Entrepreneurship and Technology Management here at the University. Welcome to The Startup Show.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back to a new episode of The Startup Show. Today we are here at the university. First, a huge disclaimer, I'm a student here, so the bias, make sure you know I'm a student here, which is really exciting to meet with you. Dietmar is actually the author of Entrepreneurial Living, so we're going to talk about this a little bit later. First, as usual on The Startup Show, you get about a minute and a half to introduce yourself to my audience.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to join this interview. My name is Dietmar Grichnik. I'm a professor of entrepreneurship, as you said. And I'm by heart driven by a mission to bring entrepreneurship into the world, and especially among the students of University of Saint Gallen. Actually, normally I say I'm a former banker since 2008, but it's an honorable profession, so there's nothing against it. But just to tell you a little bit about my mindset, so I come from a very causal mindset, and then I entered the field of venture capital by my postdoc studies in the US to research on decision-making under uncertainty, and in a way infected by the entrepreneurship virus in this mecca of entrepreneurship still, which is the United States. Coming back to continental Europe, I continued my academic career and was professor for entrepreneurship at WHU, Otto Beisheim School of Management, also known as a university where a lot of students major in entrepreneurship, start their own company, and bring new things into the world. And when I joined University of Saint Gallen in 2010, I had kind of this mission to say, well, our university is known for typical career pathways as becoming a banker or a consultant. And why not to show something, an alternative. And at that time we were still kind of exotic, but nowadays students are really also very interested in trying things out or during their studies already, as you do so nicely with your kind of entrepreneurial endeavor here. I think it's the best time to start something new during your studies. The opportunity costs are quite low, and try things out. And this what we promote and foster with our startup at HSG initiative with different kind of promotion programs.
Why I'm so excited about this interview is, we already discussed a little bit beforehand, is that usually when I interview, I have startups, I have investors, which are very practical to what I do in entrepreneurship and startups. And what I'm really excited about here is like entrepreneurship from an academic point of view, where we really try to analyze the theory behind it. So maybe you can give us a little bit background. I think it also goes a little bit into the book already, like what you wrote in it. What are, like, let's say, the academics behind, or the theory behind entrepreneurship?
Not sure if it's so much about theory, actually. We conduct a lot of studies like experiments or meta-analysis where we strive for empirical evidence, actually. So really to grasp the phenomenon and to figure out what's actually going on. And the point is that the broader public is a bit biased by hero entrepreneurs, as we all know, the Mark Zuckerbergs, Arianna Huffington and others. So those are hero entrepreneurs, are outliers, as we know. And we strive for the truth, getting into the what I call the normal entrepreneurship, actually, which looks quite different. And so also to, in a way, make it tangible for everyone, because I strongly believe that everyone can be entrepreneurial. You can learn it, as you can learn finance, as you can learn marketing. So it's nothing magic, right? And a way to fight against the myths of entrepreneurship is one of the mission here. What is kind of evidence about entrepreneurship is actually it's a lot about the personality. So you start with the question, who I am, what's your identity, what are your preferences, as a first starting point. Once you find a great problem to solve, you idiosyncratically solve it in a different way than any other person on the world, right? So it comes out of the individuals first. Asking the next questions, what can I do? What are my capabilities? What are my skills? And what is my knowledge? So that's a different way how to solve problems. And the third important question when you look into the mirror is, who do I know? Or by whom am I known? What's my network? So what are my natural resources to solve a certain problem in a very specific way? So that is the starting point. And then when it comes to uncertainty, one question which was very important for me to ask, these masters of uncertainty, the entrepreneurs, how do they handle this highest uncertainty which you can get if you bring something innovative into the world. And what they actually do is they don't look for the upside potential of an opportunity, they actually try to limit the downside and for the next step which they can afford. And they ask the question, what can I win, but what can I afford to lose? And that is a common pattern which you can observe by a lot of so-called expert entrepreneurs, so serial killers of opportunities in different areas, in different industries. And this is a very significant pattern of entrepreneurs. So the next thing is, how can you leverage this mean inventory, so what you are, what you have, and who you know, and your goal portfolio which comes out of this mean inventory by co-creating with other people. That's the third principle we can observe. Last but not least, how do you deal with the unexpected? What's your plan B once you go for plan A? And you figure out, we know more than 50% of ventures which enter the market pivot their business model. So what's your plan B, what's your plan C, what's your plan X, Y, Z, which finally will be successful on the market. So that's kind of the evidence we get from our research about entrepreneurship.
Sure. I mean, we're in a student environment, as you said before. Many people are, let's say, driven by money. They have a lot of opportunities, like going to a big four or a big bank, make a big salary. What do you see is like the expectations, or what makes people go more into entrepreneurship, building their own business versus going to a big company when you look at our students here? The
first thing actually I tell my students when they attend my courses, if you're here to become rich, that's the wrong place. Because just statistically, on average, you earn less, at least in countries like Germany or Switzerland, than the average employee. So the driving force to become self-employed and as an entrepreneur worldwide is independence. So what you actually sign is your Declaration of Independence when you go for this career path. And so what really drives people is kind of, do they have impact with the things they're doing? And starting your own venture is a great way to feel this impact, which is a clear predictor for becoming happy, right, at the end. So all the research about happiness tells us its experiences are great because they're more important than material things, but at the end is, how much impact do you have with the things you're doing? And as an entrepreneur, you have a lot of impact in solving problems, whether it's a pure business problem as a Darwinist, or it's a social problem as a missionary, or if it's a kind of what we call communitarism, in the way that you strive for the good reputation of your peers, designing a new snowboard or whatever, right, in the outdoor industry. So these are strong drivers for entrepreneurs and starting points for self-employment. No?
Right. So more or less a yes or no question. If you finish, let's say, university, is that the right moment to start your own venture, before, or when is the right moment?
Well, it's, of course, as a scientist, I have to say it depends. But statistically, again, on average, whatever tells the average about the single case, but entrepreneurs start around about 3 to 5 years after their degree with their own venture. But actually, therefore, they have tried it several times and they probably failed, right? But they failed for quite cheap during the times of their studies, because your opportunity costs are not so high. And step by step, of course, it becomes more difficult to start an own venture. The more you earn, the family come into play, whatever other reasons. So here, I would suggest start as early as possible. Try things out. With digital business, the market entry barriers are so low. What do we have to lose? That's a question you might ask. And probably you skip the next skiing holiday in Davos and start your own venture, right? You don't need so much to start the venture. To scale it, okay, therefore you need resources. But to start, try things out, take 1 year for the proof of concept. That the best way to do so is during your studies.
Yes, I mean, we tried that practically in our course, 4 days, spread over 2 weeks. So we actually built something new or we saw how many people built something new. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about the book, Entrepreneurial Living. Maybe you can give us a short summary of what's it about.
I think it's a kind of way to think how you live your life entrepreneurially. So it's kind of a pluralistic approach. But I strongly believe, I mean, nowadays we face in certain areas of our life more and more uncertainties. So the way that we like to plan things, our personal career, outdated. And we could apply some methods we know very well from entrepreneurs, like lean startup or others, to our whole life. What I mentioned before, when you start with your natural mean inventory, which is idiosyncratic, is full of values, and you have this gold portfolio like a Richard Branson, like with more than 100 ventures actually, and most of them failed. In that way, you are so stable in an uncertain environment because you could always think, oh, like, okay, this didn't work, so let's pick plan B, and I have another goal based on my mean inventory. Yeah. And this makes you quite safe and in a way very creative, much more creative if you do it the other way around. Say, well, in 5 years, this typical question, I have to be there. Yeah. So you're goal bounded. Well, coming from economics, you would say I have to combine all my means as efficiently as possible to reach this one goal, but you're totally goal bounded. And this is something that doesn't fit to our times today. So I think an entrepreneurial approach to live a life based on your means, on your strengths, is very important. But not only this, it sounds a little bit like esoteric, right? But it's more like we can see those principles, as I mentioned before, by very successful, experienced entrepreneurs, which really, in the long run, breed success. Just you need persistence, which is another entrepreneurial feature, to go probably through some valleys of death, financially, sometimes psychologically, probably also socially. But then we observe the chances to be successful in the second or third attempt with an entrepreneurial endeavor are much higher in comparison to the first time, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the message I would like to send with this book. And but on the other hand, it's it's a gameplay, so it's also fun, right? It should be fun to try out new things, and I think our society needs it.
Sure, absolutely. I would like to wrap the show with one last question. Okay. I have a lot of student audience because of my network here. Maybe you can give one tip starting your own business, or whatever you say is like, this is the one tip you should know, one advice you can give to the students.
The most important message for me would be team up with other great, interesting people from other disciplines. Go into the market as soon as possible and try things out and find great people to do this together, not alone. A lot of people start as solo entrepreneurs and they might never realize their dream if they don't go out of the building and speak to other people. Don't be too anxious to do so. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful statement to finish up and wrap up here. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in today. I appreciate it. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you a great day. Thank you very much.